Get comfortable and take a slow breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And one more. And relax to the sound of the bells.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Nice touch.
Mhm.
All right. So Kevin, did you prepare anything? Did you want to?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Why don't you kick us off?
I think I've kind of put together an intro for you.
Okay.
And when I hear what you've come up with, mine is kind of an intro. All this came from the poem that I read last week about wisdom's ways we walk, and how we should be careful with what we talk about. So I kind of looked around online, and a few things I came up with. The divine uses our mouth to do its work on earth, and the words that we speak should honor the divine and celebrate the divine and whatever. And we can't turn around. It's impossible to worship the divine and then turn around and curse your fellow man, because your fellow man is a creation of the divine. So you're actually, in other words, cursing the divine itself when you curse the man. And so you should pick your words incredibly careful, and the words you put out can be rebounded back to you. And you put out bad words. I'm thinking recently a politician put out the words that monkeypox is a curse on the gay community. He's putting that out. It can become a spell and boomerang back to him with tragic consequences. And my comment to that was, I pray that he gets the monkeypox vaccine, because he may end up needing it. Who knows? I mean, I don't want to wish evil on him, but our words are hardwired into the universe once we utter them. And we can never take back anything we've said. And our words can build up or destroy a person. They can give life and they can kill. And I'm thinking, as an example, you can say things to build up your marriage. And you can also make comments to tear it down and destroy your marriage. So every word that you utter has to be mindful of the consequences. And our words are can pierce like a sword. And if they're not piercing like a sword, they can become imprinted as similar to a tattoo on your skin. And once you've uttered it, that tattoo cannot be removed. The laser technology can't even do it. And so our words should always be loving and encouraging as much as possible, and you discern on the divine to inspire your words. I went out this and I prayed to some of my ancestors that they would give me the words of wisdom. And that just doesn't come from me. It comes from my ancestors and the divine and the entire universe. We're made up of the same things that planets are made up of. So we're filled with stardust, and that hopefully can infuse words of love that come out of our heart. And our heart, a lot of the time, determines what words we use, whether they're loving or cruel or piercing or as gentle as a kiss. And so there again, we have to be ever mindful. And I think of the example, a lot of the time we claim to have Christian concern. Oh, we have Christian concern. And I remember as a 15-year-old sitting in church, and Father Ted needs all the prayers that he can get, because last week he cheated on his wife, and instead of being very general about why they need prayer, they go into a 20-minute tirade of all the terrible things he did and why he needs prayer. And Christian concern can turn into gossip real easy. And anyone who knows me knows that I do not tolerate gossip in one way or the other. And so that's where our loving words can turn to hate. And words are intentions. I mean good for that person. And the big test is to pray for your enemies. I try to pray for my perceived enemies on a regular basis, because if I don't do it, someone else may not. And so I have to do my part to counteract what is out there. And everything we say and utter and think all manifest into the words we use. And so that's where I think hopefully that was an intro to Niki showing us examples of words that we should use.
Well, let's talk about what you introduced here, because I grew up in a very sarcastic family. So we were all good-hearted about what we meant or intended, but we said things that were disruptive. And I don't even have an example of one at the moment. Probably the ones that I remember at the moment are the ones that, as I was raising my kids, it's like people would say, "That's bad," if it was really good. So it's like I was thinking, okay, is that one the good or the bad, or the use of the word bad? And so it was confusing because, different populations or, kid groups or whatever, as they were aging, we're using all this language, and this is when rap was getting real popular too. And so I would listen to these lyrics, and it's like, I don't want my kids to hear that stuff. But of course, I said no, and they had to have it. And so that's what they listened to, right? So
Of
just
course.
trying to fix the intention behind the words, you know, music and entertainment and dance are wonderful things to provide an energetic that makes people feel good. But then they have all these words, and maybe it's like country music where somebody's always crying a sad song
Sappy,
or having,
a
you know,
sappy
depressing.
song.
Yeah. But maybe that is their way of communicating what they feel from that standpoint. I don't know. What do other people think? Because like you say, the words can be very damaging. They can cut like knife, right?
Well, one of the things for me with the rap and music and all that is just the vulgarity. It's like, why do you have to F everything in these words and this music? And it's
Yeah.
just suddenly becomes socially okay. It's not okay with me. It just
Yeah.
turns me off, makes me shut my radio off, and I'd be more in peace praying or being in silence.
Yeah.
Just disheartening that it's like this, because when we were children and we grew up, it wasn't like that. There wasn't such a freedom of vulgarity and so openly, you know, on
Yeah.
social media, television. Yeah.
It's true. Although in the sarcasm department, you know, one of my father's nicknames for me was Amazon, and he thought it was endearing, but it just told me that I was a big girl, and it's like that didn't feel good. So to be called an Amazon is just, you know, I don't know. I mean, to me, he meant well, but
It didn't feel well.
no.
There was a meme on Facebook the other day, and I kept it. It said, when a song full of vulgarity is nominated for Song of the Year and we find Dr. Seuss inappropriate, we have serious issues.
How is that not the truth? Yeah. Pulling Dr. Seuss books
Very
off
true.
the shelves. Yeah.
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 When I was in junior high school, one of the best teachers I ever had, he did an entire year on song appreciation. And every student was to pick a song, and we literally went through every piece of music word by word. And we were taught how how words can how words of the songs can affect the way we feel. Like, oh, I can't live without your love, and I'm shattered if you don't love me totally. And you, you know, song after song after song imprints all these messages on their heads. And this was back in the 70s. Now, can you imagine if that same course was offered today with the
Yeah.
version? I mean, our racy songs were Harper Valley PTA.
I know.
You know,
I know, right?
but that song, that chorus really taught me how to pay attention to the words I was hearing and what effect, you know, that I should maybe screen out some of the messages. And you know, the messages have to be counteracted, and it's kind of up to us to do it. And hopefully those messages don't come out of my mouth. But I know in fact, on occasion, unfortunately, they do.
Is
But
the camera not on?
you know,
Our camera's not on now.
I try
Our
my
camera
best
not on.
to be an example.
So
Yeah.
our camera's on.
Yes, we don't see you, Bobby.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's on.
There you were for a second. There you are.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we're back.
There you are.
Right. since all eyes are on you now, do you have any words on what we're speaking of today?
Sorry, say that again.
I was asking Charlie or Bobby, or
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Can't see us on there, can you?
I can see.
That's us. I can't see anybody on there. It's too dark. Oh, wait.
Did you guys
Let's
turn
see
off your
Charlie's
light?
head.
Hi.
There, now I can see it.
There you are.
Okay, there we are. Yeah,
All
years
right.
ago I learned, I don't recall what it was, but when I say it, I think some people recognize it. Be impeccable with your words. And
Yeah.
that's always stayed with me. I can't recall what that was from now. Does that ring a bell with anybody? Be
Be
impeccable with your words.
I think the 4 agreements is one of them. That's
That's exactly right. Thank you. That's
Okay.
what it was.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's one of the 4 agreements. And I like that. It stayed with me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's such simple advice too. And so I guess to be reminded of that at times is what's I'm going to write the 4 agreements in here and put them in the chat.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like the 4 agreements. I've forgotten now, but I think if you put them in the chat, that'd be very helpful. It
Yeah,
would
Mhm.
remind me of what they are. I've forgotten what they are now.
I got to get one that I can read. They've got white letters against light color backgrounds.
Hard
Find
to
the right
read,
one.
yeah.
1 second.
Do you remember those, Shirley? We had the author of that book at our Center for Spiritual Living.
Yeah.
She's a very nice lady.
Hmm.
But you know what? If you can't remember the 4 agreements, how can you keep them?
I know, right?
That's why I'm cheating and looking it up.
It's Don Miguel Ruiz. It's not a woman that wrote the 4 agreements.
Right.
It's a man, yeah. I don't recall who it was.
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Ruiz, that's his name.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
This I still can't read. I'm looking for a good image of it so I can show you guys. Where else? Oh, here's one. There, okay. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make
That's it.
assumptions, and always do your best.
Yeah. And those are wonderful little guidelines to live by.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. And so I'm
The
going to
maybe the most difficult one is not taking it personal. As soon as we take it personal, we react, knee-jerk reaction.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right. So I'm coming back to you.
I'm starving.
So I'm putting the ChatGPT address in the chat, and then I will drag this picture I just took so you can see the 4 agreements. That's the right one. There it is. All righty. So there you go. You've got it in the chat now.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. So does anybody want to read that be impeccable with your word paragraph?
Hold on. We get it
Yes. See
here.
it good enough?
Oh, I'm gonna see if I can blow it up. Let me see. I think it is. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Your word?
I can't
Is
see
that
it
what-
either.
Yeah,
We
be
can't see
impeccable
it,
with your
so-
word.
Oh, do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
I
your
can't
word?
see it. Thank you. Yeah.
And be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. You want me to read the rest too here? Don't take anything personally. Nothing
Well, that's a
others.
hard one.
Yeah, and that is. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. That's powerful. Okay. Don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With this just one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstances, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret.
Thank you.
That's it. Very well said.
Yes, very wise words.
Very wise. Makes me think of when I was a little girl. One of the things I remember my father saying to me is, if what's going to come out of your mouth could possibly hurt someone, you just don't say it. And now, 6 grandchildren later, I'm now being that father voice to my grandchildren and trying to teach them that words can hurt.
Yeah.
And might sound like a simple lesson, but I don't know how much they hear of me. Can only try.
Yeah. I know when Paula was talking about what's the phrase when the child should be seen and not heard?
Yeah.
We went through some of that because at times when you're being held back from speaking your truth, you're actually imprinting people with the fact that they should never speak, right?
Right.
And so a lot of women are people that are introverts or timid people that don't necessarily get to have a lot of say,
Right.
tend to withhold, and that creates other problems. I was just doing some research this morning for that Buddhist temple on mental health and how a spiritual practice can be a balance to the drugs or to the other kinds of treatment, the talk therapy and all these other things. And adding a spiritual tone or another way of feeling about who you are and having that confidence within yourself is another form of, choosing your words or thoughts in this case wisely. So let me put these 10 phrases in the chat. Message is too long. Okay. Maybe I'll just show you then. B's putting The Mastery of Love. I don't know if I've seen that one.
I have seen that book. Where have I seen that? Do you have that, Laura? That book? No?
It's Don Miguel Ruiz's other really good book. It's amazing.
Okay. I've seen it before. I don't know where.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll share my screen so you guys can pick what you want to talk about, because these are all interesting. This was what ChatGPT came up with for those of you that came later. We were showing the ChatGPT function of giving it a good prompt and then finding what it spits out at you are very interesting and useful terms. Anybody have a favorite here we want to talk about?
I like the second one because I try to do that a lot.
Read it. Can you?
It's my eyesight shot.
I'm sorry, we can't read it, so.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you.
Instead of how to raise your vibration, instead of keep your energy high, suggest elevate your vibration through acts of love, compassion, and gratitude.
Right, thank you.
I try to do that a lot. When I'm out and about, I try to compliment people, strangers, find something about somebody, and I love to just make somebody smile. Like I was at the dentist the other day, and when I left, I stopped at the front counter and I said, knock, knock. And she said, who's there? And I said, HIPAA. And she said, HIPAA who? And I said, sorry, I can't give out that information. And she laughed and she was like, oh my gosh, I got to tell everybody that one. That was so, you know, just some simple little, leave a joke
Mhm.
and just make somebody else feel good. And I consider that an act of love.
Mhm.
It's putting our words into action.
Absolutely, Kevin. Yep.
You know, we can say all we want, but if we don't do anything, it's not
Useless.
much good to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And even like at the grocery store, when I'm going through with the cashier and I'll compliment the cashier on their name or their hair or a
Mhm.
piece of jewelry. And people do that to me too. I was walking in a store the other day and some woman passed me and said, oh, I love your necklace. You know, and that's just, it's heartwarming to me that
Yeah.
she
Mhm.
would even take the time or to notice
Mm-hmm.
and to say something. I think those are acts of love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have young men that bag groceries at the Big Y in Ellington, and they're I really don't know what their problem is. They're a little bit slow, I guess, maybe. Anyway, there's this one guy, and he talks to himself a lot while he's bagging your groceries, but every so often he'll say something out loud. And this last time I was there, he said out loud, I went to the casino this weekend. And so I started to have a conversation with this guy, and he like looked up at me like, are you talking to me? And indeed, I was talking to him. So, I had a conversation with him. And when it was all over with, I was walking out, and the manager came over to me and he said, you know what? That was really, really nice of you to talk to him. He goes, I just looked up at him with like a funny look on my face, and I said, but he's a human being. And I said, isn't that what we're supposed to do? Because really, right? Yeah. So words and just the action of showing someone that you care about what they're saying. You know, he
Yeah.
said that guy's probably going to be like walking on clouds all day because you said hi to him and you had a conversation with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we can raise our vibrations by our words and our actions of being gracious and love, that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And also number 7, vibrational resonance. Instead of like-minded individuals, harmonize with souls whose vibrations resonate with the frequency of your authentic self.
Mhm.
And I'm always connecting with people of like mind, just coincidentally a lot of times.
Mhm. I think when people truly know who we are, like you're a very spiritual individual, as we all are, um, unbeknownst to us, we do draw those people to us. We
Law of
do.
attraction.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of YouTube videos on positive thinking and manifesting your best self, and they do talk awful lot about vibration. Just
Hmm.
raise your vibration in any way that you can, and just be it, beam it out as you're, going forth in the world, and that attracts the goodness and the abundance to you.
Absolutely.
Shine your light. Shining your light.
That's right.
Right.
And be the light. Be the light.
Yep. Wasn't there a song, shining your light, or putting a bushel over your light, oh no, or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
That was a
little light of mine.
There
A
it is.
I'm
campfire.
gonna let it
That's a
shine.
campfire song.
That's how I plan on ending my funeral.
Yeah.
I have it written in to do a candlelight service while lighting while they sing This Little Light of Mine.
That's awesome.
Oh, Kevin, that's sweet. Oh,
Well, I'm a
it
funeral director. I
it
take
goes,
care of things like that.
I
is that
think
what
it
you
goes,
do?
Yeah.
hide it
Oh,
under
well,
a
I'm
bush. Oh
retired.
no, I'm gonna let it shine.
Yep.
That's that line in that song. Hide it under a bush. Oh no, I'm gonna
Oh,
let it
yeah.
shine.
Yeah.
You know, those are positive spins on the words, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need more of those
Hmm.
songs.
And our words should be the light in darkness, you know.
Mhm.
As long as we're putting out light, there's no darkness. You know,
Yeah, when we're talking about balance, though, you know, you do have to work on your shadow and on the darkness. Maybe not necessarily pretend it's not there. B, you've got some experience in doing some shadow work, right?
Well, I have a really good friend of mine who's a rabbi and she's an author as well. And
Uh-huh.
she's actually written a book about the dark and the shadow. And I just want to remind people, like, without any shadow, the light that we see in the world is totally flat. It is the shadow that gives depth to what we see. And without darkness, we don't get good rest. So these are the things that she reminded people of in her book. Like, you know, it's a way of like reframing, you know, like, yes, put the light out there, but then also, you know, let the shadow be a place of like rest and rejuvenation and germination within the soil even. So just another way to frame things with that,
Mhm, mhm.
which I thought was beautiful.
Let's see what ChatGPT says. Here's an example. Write 10 phrases that are words of wisdom around light and shadow in the spiritual realm. Anything else you want to put in this prompt? Prompt engineers is a new job, by the way, for some people. You get really good at prompting the right thing to come up. Let's just see what it says. So Carrie, I don't know if you've used this for your writing, but I love it. It helps augment my thinking when I'm trying to write something because I'm not that great of a writer.
Wow.
Chat GPT, no, it causes major copyright trouble. So creative writers,
Gotcha.
no.
Okay.
No.
All right. For good things, ChatGPT is interesting. So here we go. In the dance of light and shadow, our souls find balance and depth. Balance and depth, just like you said, B. Embrace your shadow, for it is the canvas upon which your inner light paints the masterpiece of your spirit.
Oof.
It's a good one. And I have a painter friend who works with shadows a lot, and her work is just beautiful. The light and shadow and depth, like you say, is just amazing.
Mhm.
So the brightest
Yeah.
stars emerge from the darkest skies. So too our truest selves are revealed through navigating our shadows.
Yeah. A further thought on this is, you know, I stopped thinking that like everything happened for a reason, but I started thinking everything has a lesson. And like I feel like part of my spirituality is like recognizing this like super consciousness of humans and how we're all, a lot of us, lining up to help each other. But then I thought about like what is the purpose of the people who still do things that are really not okay. And that's another piece of the shadow that I think about. Like if we never saw another
Mhm.
bad act,
Not see
then
anything.
we would not really understand how good our good acts are, if that makes sense. So I often like thank the people who are, you know, unconscious, like silently them for, you know, still showing that like we still have to fight a battle against our, you know, uh, negative nature or bad nature and just go towards the good.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Do you like any of these others?
I
No?
like number 6.
yeah, I was just looking at that one.
You want to read it?
A candle's flame flickers brightest in the presence of surrounding darkness. Likewise, our inner light shines most brilliantly in the face of adversity. Perfect.
Nice.
I like candles a lot just because I just love the illumination of it. Sometimes I like just even staring at the flame.
Mm-hmm.
It's mesmerizing.
Yeah. Nice.
But that's beautifully said, that one. I like that one. Oh, and number 9.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, where'd it go?
It
It
disappeared.
disappeared.
I pushed a button.
You made us all bigger.
Number 9. Number
Okay.
9. In the shadows, we confront our fears. In the light, we discover our strength. Together, they lead us to profound self-discovery. Very good.
I think number 10 is pretty profound. The spiritual journey is a pilgrimage through the landscapes of both light and shadow, each step a revelation, each moment an opportunity to embody the divine within. Because I think light and darkness you have as balance, like yin and yang, if you will. Darkness is quiet sleep for us. Light is, things growing. Yeah, the balance of the both of them.
Good. Well, that was fun. So, Carrie, you're the writer. What are words to you? You've given us some good wisdom on wordsmithing.
I'm probably going to be quite a contrarian here. Language evolves, and I am so thankful that it does. There are words that were used 10, 50, 100 years ago that are totally unacceptable now, and I am so grateful for that. There are words that were used when I was a kid in the 70s and even the 80s that I'm so thankful are not acceptable now. So I am not one to say words are good or bad. I am one to say words are appropriate or not appropriate in a setting. Okay. That's what I've always, with the younger kids in my life, they want to ask me about specific words.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll tell you what it means, but I'm not going to tell you new ones, not until you're a lot older. And then I'm also going to say, and remember, there are times and places for words. Mm-hmm. And so asking me as the auntie who you can ask anything and they do,
yeah,
is acceptable. But this is not for school. This is not for visiting certain relatives. This is not. So to me, there are times and places for words. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I feel that way about music as well. There's some songs I've heard from the past. I'm like, I can't believe the way that was phrased or the word that was used. That is just shocking.
Yeah.
I hear you.
From 50 years ago or even less than that. And I'm open to all forms of music. I love all kinds of music, and that includes all the way up till today. And one thing about the Dr. Seuss thing was language that could be seen as very hurtful, like I was just saying. It wasn't all Dr. Seuss books. It was a specific instance
right.
That could be very harmful. So it wasn't blanket Dr. Seuss is bad. It was a specific, and the foundation was behind it. They were like, oh, hey, we see this. We don't want to harm anybody because these books are supposed to be joyful.
Yeah.
Oh, we see how this has changed.
But then why don't they ban those songs with all the vulgarity in it?
Because language changes. Not everybody.
Freedom of speech.
There you go. I claim the first.
Yeah.
Then why do they ban Dr. Seuss then?
They didn't ban.
It's like an oxymoron.
They didn't ban.
I thought they did.
And well, there are some schools that did refuse to carry that book in their libraries.
The foundation.
Well, the point is, it was something made of words, which is funny because it seems like the books, I mean, I got 4 kids and they all grew up with Dr. Seuss. I never ever looked at any of those words as being offensive or anything. And I just think it's kind of funny that here we are, the year 2023, and somehow, somewhere, somebody found a problem with it. It's just,
Because words change.
yeah.
Words do change. Words that were acceptable in the 70s when I was a kid, I don't want my nephews to see, or I don't want my nephews to hear used in it, or movies that we saw in the 80s. Oh my goodness, that I loved and still love. I don't want my 14-year-old and 12-year-old nephews to see these movies without me there to provide some historical context. And that does not mean those movies should be banned. That means they need historical context.
Mhm.
Can you give an example appropriate for this recording?
Gone with the Wind needed the historical context.
Okay. Yes.
1,000%. 16 Candles needs the historical context. Oh my gosh, I love that movie, but I don't want those kids seeing it without me there to say, okay, this is not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there are words that have changed in our lifetimes, in my lifetime, that were horrible words when I was younger, and now it's completely acceptable. And queer is one of them.
Mhm.
That was quite a slur in the 70s.
Yeah.
Now it's empowering, and I love that
Oh
word.
yeah. Yep.
So that's changed in
Yeah.
what, 30 years? That's amazing. So things,
And I
And-
think
and-
it also depends upon the person using the words too. I mean, for
Right.
example, there are a lot of Black people that can call each other nigger and get by with it. And
Yeah.
it's said in a very kind of a kidding way, but also degrading way. But if a white person used that, I mean, you know, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So
And
it
it's
depends on
my,
the,
it's context.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
context, but
because
also the person who's using it.
the definition is basically ignorance, is what that word means, correct?
Well,
No.
niggerly means stingy.
Ah, okay.
There is no word nigger that I know that's not a slang word, but niggerly is a word. My understanding is
Niggardly with a D. There's
yeah,
a D in
niggerly.
there. Yeah,
Right.
right.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But again, these things change.
Yeah. My thinking on banning, are we banning words in a lot of cases, or are we banning ideas? You know,
Yeah, ideas, definitely.
yeah, and they use the words as an excuse to ban the idea.
Hmm.
And there it all boils down to the intention of the words
Right.
and how we, and the context and intention that we use words, which determines whether it's going to be received good or bad.
Hmm.
I'm going to take the contrarian point of view.
Well, that's a surprise.
And this is okay. Let's create an example. Crunching.
Oh, sorry.
Guys, come on. A contrarian point of view. Let's say in the modern world, I have robots around my house. I've trained them all to say complimentary things I want to hear. And that's all the feedback I ever get. What would that say about me? What would it say? If I program my robots to do that, what would it say about me?
Then I guess you need to hear it.
Or that you don't
You
want to
really
hear
should.
negativity.
Yeah,
No,
it's that I'm coming from fear of criticism.
right.
And anytime we're coming from fear of criticism, we're not centered in our spiritual being.
I can
We're
also
defensive.
argue though, Charlie, that someone who does that might do it because they do need to hear it and it's a self-healing thing. So it's all about the intention.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if it was they were in a recovery process and needed to heal, that's one thing. But if that in through life, if that's all you gonna go through life and expect everybody to compliment you or not criticize you,
Good.
we're living in a world I'm not aware of. So what I'm saying is there's something in us that doesn't need to react to criticism. There's a power for good within us that brings enough light into our awareness that we're not at the effect of criticism. I mean, to me, that's the spiritual goal, is to be in that space where, when you look at Mother Nature and it's raining hard and you're out in the rain, and you might criticize that it's raining, and rather than be glorified that we're getting water on the planet. And it's a point of view. So all I'm saying is Mother Nature is going to do what it does. And our human nature is going to do what it does. When we bring our spiritual beingness into the world, then we're bringing light into all situations so that we're not so offended by criticism or arguments or different opinions.
Mhm.
That's my contrarian view.
Thank you. So no judgment. We were talking about that when we started, talking about the church without walls and
Mm-hmm.
not putting up the barriers or defining anything too strictly.
Yeah, but then on the contrary,
Go, Laura.
there's a song that makes me absolutely cringe every time I hear it. And the words are, I don't care who you are, where you're from, or what you've done, as long as you love me. Like, really?
Oh, I remember that song. I remember that
Really?
song.
Ugh,
Uh,
that makes me crazy.
Poor needy people.
I mean, you can look at it two different ways, but I think about, so he's a serial killer and you don't care as long as he loves you, you know?
Well,
But then
that
again, you could say that's being judgmental. So
Mm.
I don't know. But that song makes me crazy.
but you discern the words.
Right.
You're mature enough or whatever to discern those words. But
Mhm.
there are many, many people who listen to the words and sing along and merrily, merrily,
yeah.
and don't discern what those words are imprinting on their minds, on their souls.
Yeah.
And this was what my grade 7 teacher was trying to teach us, was to discern words and
Yeah.
to pay attention to what message that writer was, stand by your man. I mean, my God, that wouldn't be allowed in 2000. But yet we were raised on that. And
Yes,
that,
that's why
Tammy
we're
Wynette.
confused.
Her
pardon?
name is, yeah,
Oh, Tammy Wynette, yeah.
Tammy Wynette, stand by your man.
Yep.
I used to listen to that divorce album over and over and over when I was a kid. Have no idea why. My mother used to play it all the time. Crazy.
But
Oh.
it's interesting. You had mentioned earlier, Cindy, about talking to your grandchild, and you don't know if they're going to remember what you said. And
Yes.
what triggered in my mind is I remember things that were said to me when I was 6.
That's good.
So somebody's going to pay attention to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to remember that 50 years from now. Oh, I remember when Cindy would say this. I remember when she would do this. the little things we do are remembered.
Right.
Maybe not
Sometimes
right now.
we don't realize how much a word or our words
Yeah.
are so effective on someone else.
Words that cut me at 15 still cut me today. You know, and I gotta learn for those not to cut me anymore. But you
Mhm.
know, we remember, like I said earlier, when we put out a word, we can never take it back.
Mhm.
We may apologize immensely, but they're still gonna remember you said it,
Right.
you know,
True.
and that's
I'm
where
going to perform an experiment. When I get totally deaf and can't hear anything, I'll let you know if my life is better. Like a bridge over troubled waters, right? If I can't hear it, how can I be that effective?
That's if a tree falls in a forest and nobody's around, does it make a sound?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to say, get this out before it gets towards the end here. If you want to see a wonderful, wonderful feel-good movie, go see The Holdovers.
Oh, good.
It's in the
Okay.
theaters now. The Holdovers with Paul Giamatti. It's about a professor at a private boys' school who gets stuck with staying with a boy who can't go home for the holidays because his mother was going away on a trip with her new boyfriend. And so he had to stay at the private school over the holidays. And Paul Giamatti doesn't have any family, so he got stuck staying with him at the school. And they make friends with this woman cook
Mhm.
who also is stuck there. And that's what the movie's about. And it's a beautiful, beautiful movie.
Oh, cool.
Where do we watch it?
What's the name again?
Right now it's in the theaters, but
What's it
eventually
called?
it'll be streaming, I'm
Holdovers.
sure. The Holdovers.
Thank
They
you.
got
We'll
held over
definitely
at
see it.
school. Hmm?
Sounds wonderful. Thank
It
you.
was a beautiful movie, it really was. Very touching
Yeah,
and funny too.
yeah.
Alexander Payne's one of my favorite directors. That's one I would definitely
Yeah.
like to see.
Yeah,
I gotta say, some of his movies, language,
yeah.
Yes.
I know, right?
but they're
It's like,
wonderful.
why? That's what I don't
Because
get.
because they fit the
Well,
context.
that's
of
with
the
a
movie.
lot of movies these days. The language is
context of the movie.
unbelievable.
One thing I want to add, because I noticed, I just checked, and this started in Virginia. I dropped a link about the Dr. Seuss thing because it started in Loud, Virginia. It was imagery. It was not words.
Imagery. Okay.
Ah,
Imagery. Okay.
A lot of the imagery, if you think back on it, remember the guys with the China hats and things? There's some stuff in there that you look at and you go, ooh, that's what it was. And it was the foundation.
Oh, wow.
So definitely worth, and I say that because I live in Virginia.
Mhm.
And
I'm missing
it's,
something because I don't get what men in China hats has to do with it.
it's very racist imagery. The,
Oh.
the books, I remember that image. When I saw that, I was like, oh, I remember that. And it's
I'll have to look that up.
But yeah, I put a link in there. It's a CNN just because it's free. There are many other sources that may not be free that may give more information, but that was imagery, and the imagery has changed. Things that would look fine in the 30s or 40s, you look at it now and you go, oh, so that's what it was.
all
You
right.
know, in metaphysical art,
They change over time.
metaphysical organizations, they often change words to song. They want to upgrade it to sound better, like Amazing Grace. So we took out the words, a wretch like me. We couldn't possibly say that anymore. So you would change the words to a good person like me or something. So that's kind of interesting. For me personally, yeah, I can see that sometimes I could be a wretch for sure. You know, so I don't have to deny the wretch in me. And when I sing that song, it's the flavor of the song that I get.
Right.
It's a redemptive song, and I get that, and the words are okay to me. And I can see why people are offended by calling yourself a wretch or something
Mhm.
that might might damage your ego or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, so words are fascinating, what we do with them, what we think about them, how we respond to them. Probably the words that I have most trouble with is an angry song, a song that's directing anger at
Yeah.
something or someone.
Those can be so cathartic though, especially in a live concert. When you sing those songs, you just let that stress go, and it can be so cathartic to do that. And you just it can let out the stress of a year, much less
Yeah,
of a day.
so there you go. So it can be cathartic for some people, right? So it's how we respond to words.
Yes.
Has a lot to do with it.
It's the meaning we place on the words.
Right. And these are things I wouldn't say to certain members of my family or in context, but boy, if I'm in that crowd and it's you just get it out, and everybody is so joyful and relaxed after it's done because that stress is gone and it went just into the air. No one got hurt, no one got yelled at. It's just it's all so much context.
Point. B, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, as we're winding down, I wanted to share some words from Don Miguel Ruiz's Mastery of Love book.
Okay.
That I've just remembered them ever since I read them. So this is just a little bit from that. I want you to imagine that you live on a planet where everyone has a skin disease. For 2,000 or 3,000 years, the people on your planet have suffered the same disease. Their entire bodies are covered by wounds that are infected, and those wounds really hurt when you touch them. Of course, they believe this is a normal physiology of the skin. Even the medical books describe this disease as a normal condition. When the people are born, their skin is healthy, but around 3 or 4 years of age, the first wounds start to appear. By the time they are teenagers, there are wounds all over their bodies. Can you imagine how these people are going to treat each other? In order to relate with one another, they have to protect their wounds. They hardly ever touch each other's skin because it's too painful. If by accident you touch someone's skin, it's so painful that right away she gets angry and touches your skin just to get even. Still, the instinct to love is so strong that you pay a high price to have relationships with others. Well, imagine that a miracle occurs one day. You awake and your skin is completely healed. There are no wounds anymore, and it doesn't hurt to be touched. The healthy skin you can touch feels wonderful because your skin is made for perception. Can you imagine yourself with healthy skin in a world where everyone has a skin disease? Now, the metaphor there is our emotional wounds, and that we live in the world right now where when we're young, we all start to get those emotional wounds. And I just thought that was a really striking way to think about it. That imagery.
It is. It is.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
I've had so much skin cancer. I guess that's how I handle my stress, huh?
I wouldn't say that. I would say that we have a lot of really nasty chemicals in our world that you have been exposed to. And, you know, we haven't, as a society, chosen to prioritize getting those out of our world. That's why you have cancer.
I'm on my church service.
You know, there's some philosophies out there that are interesting because so many times we say we give everybody else the power. You make my skin crawl, or I feel bad because of something you've said. So it's like we own our own feelings, we own our own responses. So that's one school of thought. So instead of giving someone else the power for making our skins crawl or making us feel badly, we can look at ourselves and analyze or synthesize what is it within me that's making my skin crawl? What is it in me that's reacting to these words rather than giving the person the power to make the way I feel? That's a school of thought that's a little different.
And that's one of those schools of thoughts, Charlie, that it's good to a certain degree to think about that. But then I think about a woman walking down the street late at night alone, and a man coming up and saying something that makes her feel uncomfortable, you know? And is she in reality, because there is a high, like a quarter of women have been sexually assaulted in their life. So is she in reality to have a reaction that is like cautious, or is it all about her and in her own mind? Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's her reaction. So does she get fearful and want to flight?
Well, that's been her experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's a very real experience. Like it is actually a healthy reaction to be leery in that situation. It doesn't speak about
Absolutely.
our unhealthy mindset. It speaks about a healthy mindset to have that thought.
Yeah, I think it's healthy to be cautious. I think we have to look out for ourselves because not, is there always someone else to look out for us? So yeah, we have a responsibility to ourselves to be cautious in these times. Yeah.
I agree.
This has been a wonderful conversation. I appreciate all the points of view. Go ahead, Carrie.
I just said that can be part of that shifting context of words.
Mhm.
Yes, it
word
can
that-
be.
Yeah. And knowingly using those words in a harmful way, intending them, saying them in a harmful way in a situation that could be risky. Again, in my lifetime, just my memory of 50 years, it has changed. So many words have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that
like when I
context-
grew up, to be gay meant to be happy. When I grew up,
Yeah.
then it
Right.
changed. That way you didn't even want to speak about it anymore,
Yeah.
right?
And now
like
it's been
it's-
reclaimed along with queer. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. That's I love words. Fascinate me. I don't think any of them are bad. They're fascinating and can be appropriate in context.
And that's why you're a great author, because you are fascinated with words.
It is a big thing. Thank you.
It shows. Yes.
I need to go, but I just want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Thank you so much. Same
I
to all of
always-
you.
Same to you.
At my table, I go around the table on Thanksgiving and make everybody say something that they're thankful for.
Me too.
I've
I
always
want
done-
to chime in here and say I'm really thankful for my dog. I might have to put down today because of
Oh,
cancer. So
no.
just she's a beautiful little pup.
Oh,
Big
no.
dog, 85 pounds, and she doesn't deserve any of this. So just send some love to her if
Definitely.
you would, Mia.
And to you.
Thanks.
And to you for
Mhm.
being a very good caregiver,
Everyone.
very good companion.
and wish you all a very great week. And
Thank you.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Be healthy and stay
Thanks
safe.
all. All
Take
right.
care.
Take care.
Have a wonderful
What are we
week.
going to do next week? Anything?
I don't think we have anything scheduled. What would you like to hear for a Thanksgiving weekend? We did gratitude last week.
Mhm.
Something around family or something around.
Yes, acceptance, accepting our challenges and difficulties.
Ah, okay. You want to lead on that one, B?
Sure.
All
Not
right.
sure if I'll be here because I will have family in town. We go to Atlanta for the race on Thursday or Monday. Then we're there. We come back Friday, and then my brother gets here, so it's going to be.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Well, we'll record it in case. All right. Thanks for all your contributions
Bye,
today.
everybody.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have
Have
a
a
great
good
week.
Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Good week.